What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to make this gorgeous epoxy river serving tray for a customer. So let's get started. Alright guys, so to start out this project we need to make a mold so we can pour the epoxy in our tray base. So for that I've picked up this piece of 1/4 inch MDF which we're going to cut down on the table saw into some different pieces which we can hot glue together. Alright, so I got all the pieces of MDF cut for the mold for the bottom of our little serving tray. Now what we're going to do is cover everything in packing tape and hot glue it down to the base. Now what we have to do is cover the entire inside and edges with packing tape. This keeps the epoxy from sticking to the MDF. And as you can see, by beveling our bandsaw to 40 degrees and cutting both pieces, we can get a sort of live edge rivery look. And we'll put a little bit more hot glue on here just to help hold them down. So now that the base and mold for our tray is done, we can start mixing the epoxy for that. So I'll be doing a total of 500 milliliters of Total Boat Thick Set Epoxy. So while our epoxy is drying, we're going to start working on the sides of our tray. So for that, I've resawed a board of walnut into these two pieces, which I then planed down on the planer to 3/8 of an inch thick. Now I'm going to use the table saw and rip 2 clean edges on each side of these, and then I'm going to rip it right down the middle. From there, we'll use the router and the template bit to cut a handle in 2 of the pieces. Alright, so here's the setup. I have my template clamped down on top of one of my end pieces, And we're going to use a router with a flush trim bit to go around the inside and cut out a perfect handle. And obviously we still have to trim everything down to size and bring this down a little bit, but now I'll just repeat the process on the other end. Alright, so I planed down our little board to about 3/8 of an inch thick, maybe a little bit more, and that's going to be plenty for our tray. So as you can see, we've got a lot of marks from the planer. Now what I'm going to do is sand the faces of this. I will not be sanding any of the edges because we're going to have to put the sides on, and I want a crisp edge. Now before we trim these end pieces down to size and cut them to length and put this thing together, I'm going to sand this entire inside face as well as the inside of the handle, because once this thing is assembled, it's going to be very, very hard to sand the inside of the tray. Rip the little small piece of paper towel, and I'm going to wipe up any excess glue on the inside, and I'll probably get a little water on this to help get more of that glue off, but I'm going to get as much of that off as I can now because it's going to be a pain to get off later. So I got both ends on and centered, and I used a little damp paper towel in the corners here to get the excess glue off, and I made sure that both of them are perfectly square. So once these two end pieces were dry, I cut the two long pieces to fit in the space, and then I glued them in. I just finished cutting off the excess amounts of these two end pieces, so now I'm going to use the belt sander and flatten this whole edge and the ends. Alright guys, so the tray turned out really, really good. I finished it with 4 coats of General Finishes Armor Seal, which is a very tried and true finish. I absolutely love it. And I did it in gloss, as the customer requested. And I know the customer's going to love it. I love it, and I had a lot of fun making it. Guys, please be sure to follow me on Instagram, Seth's Custom Creations. I'll put the name on the screen there. I've got a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that doesn't get put up on my YouTube channel over on my Instagram, so please be sure to go and check it out. I've also got a website, so please be sure to check out the website, www.sethscustomcreations.com. The link will be down in the description below. I've got products on there, stuff that I've made, more information about me, and a lot of other stuff you might be interested in. And lastly, guys, be sure to subscribe to the channel because there's a lot of good content coming up and you're not going to want to miss it. So subscribe, hit that little bell icon next to the subscribe button so you get notified whenever I post a new video. I'll see you guys next week.